Yeah, it's just like two cool buds going on a fun, plucky adventure.
Right. And it would be that until like the next complicating matter, right? Like when
Right.
Wilbur turns into, like a dragon, right?
Yeah.
Or like your beard is shaved off in some like ritualistic
Yeah.
dwarf combat,
Because
right? Like that's when we would change it again.
or like we have to like go undercover for our many crimes, and we've had to like completely change our shit.
Right. It's actually just you still have the hat, you just changed your shirt. And yeah, you took the beard off, but you gave it to Wilbur, but it's your beard still.
It's his hair wearing it on his head. Perfect.
Exactly. Yeah. All right, so it is at this time that you have finally actually made it into Kalmus, the watchmaker town, right? And looking for specifically E. Chesterfeld, the watchmaker. So as you sort of roll into town, you can tell me kind of exactly what it is you're doing as you arrive, but there's no one like outside greeting you. I think it's actually getting pretty late. It's not like dark yet, right? But it's like that twilight hour right before it does get dark. So it's not the weirdest thing that people are inside their homes, but you actually notice like all of the windows are boarded up too.
All right, I'll go send Wilbur to secure us lodgings, and I'll do a preliminary examination of EE's watch shop. See what's
Okay.
going on there.
All right, no, I love that. So we're actually going to split the episode into two, right? So there's one
Hmm.
side of the screen where it's Wilbur knocking on every door,
Yeah,
and
secure us
just
lodgings.
and no one is letting you in. No one's responding. Like every now and then you can see that somebody's at the window. They're just like no, and they just scuttle away, right? But you like the town is driven by Chesterfeld's watchmaking, right? Like there's a tannery for the leather for the straps. There's a little smithy to make him like all of his little like metal cogs and gears and stuff. Like there's a few different engravers to either do like the jewelry part of it or just like personalize the watches. Like he has made this town. Chesterfeld is the
Yeah,
guy.
he is the dude.
He is the
Okay.
dude. Yes.
E. Chesterfield has like made this town.
Yeah, it would be set up kind of like a cross, right? So there's like a main drag, and like just off of like the town square is Chesterfield's, right? And it's the only 2-story building. And then, like there's a fountain, and it probably has like him, a kindly looking man, right? Holding an alarm clock.
Like he's got like a child on his lap and is handing him an alarm clock.
Right, yeah. Chesterfield's built this town.
That was my grandpappy Chesterfield. Came back from the war with a love of clocks. The war against the Modrons.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so yeah, you're paying it no mind as you kind of move up to the actual watch shop, right? Which is very obviously the watch shop. It's got like some, it's not like it's like dripping and rich or anything, but I think like his shutters would be like gilded, painted, right? So that they've got like the shiny gold and brass to them and everything. Like it's just a touch above. But for good or ill, depending on what you want to do, the windows, the shades seem to be drawn, although you could easily break a window if you wanted to. But the doors right there does not seem to be barred.
Well, I'll walk up. He requested a wizard's assistance.
He did.
A wizard I am. Give it a couple knocks.
Yeah. So there is no response immediately, but you can definitely hear. You almost might think it was maybe like a few cats, right? With you know how like you can hear the tapping, right? If their nails are long, it might be that. There's a few different noises, and then like way in the back, at like the extremes of your vision, you can hear a warbly sort of like, and I don't know if I'm gonna use the right one, but I'm assuming like a phonograph.
Ominous.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to roll investigation, see if I can see any signs of a forced entry or something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's +5. So I got a 19.
Damn. It begins. Yeah, so I think the thing that you notice first is that despite there not being a lot of life in this town, he's got a little bit of smoke rising from his chimney, which is positive. A second-story window has a light on, so his place seems to be, alive in some way. And while it might not be the most polite thing to do, the door is in fact unlocked.
All right, I'm going to give a couple knocks, and I'll say, Mr. Chesterfield, the wizard you requested is here. Do you mind if I come in? His attack clocks activate.
You hear like a single low thud, right? And he's like, "Come in."
Oh, how hospitable! And I'll get the door open.
Mm-hmm.
What greets my eyes?
Yeah, so it's a nice, shop floor combination home, right? There'd be like most of the front area is shop floor, and then there's like display cabinets, and then there's like two ways in behind them, and then you can see a door behind that, which is clearly like goes into his house. And then on the right side there's like a little attachment. It would be not much larger than a bathroom, but that's specifically like his workshop area, right, where you can just see overstuffed with tools and everything.
Okay.
He seems to be frozen in motion. He's coming out from behind the counters. He's got one leg in the air. He's got one arm in the air, and he's just perfectly unmoving. He seems to be looking at you, but it is at this time you realize this part of his face has been cut off, and behind it just seems to be metal. Lots of metal.
His face is gone.
His face is gone. It is bleeding at all of the edges.
Oh no.
And behind it, he seems to have some sort of metal skeleton.
Well, that's disquieting. All right, I'm going to approach cautiously. He might be caught in some sort of time field. I would like to... Is there anything else? All right, I don't want to let this distract me. Is there anything else? I heard the pitter-patter of little feet. Do I hear... Is there any creatures moving about? I heard...
Yes, in fact, there are. As you sort of look and realize what you might have at first assumed were just a mishmash of tools and raw materials for watchmaking, the whole room back there actually seems to be alive, and it's sort of slowly moving and shifting. And as he's because he's still moving towards you, he's just moving very slowly, right? He's like moving 5 feet every 6 seconds kind of thing.
Gotcha.
There are... maybe little clockwork devices. Think very much like Sid's room in Toy Story, right? Where he's kind of like kit bashed all of these things together.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And then that's still just warbling. Kind of going off in the background.
Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. I'm going to take a few steps forward, and I'm going to say... Mr. Chesterfield, is that you?
Yeah.
Oh, goodness gracious. Have you been turned into a robot, or have you always been a robot? There's no shame. I have a lot of good friends who are magical robots.
Right, and again, like as this is happening, it's still just Wilbur. Like at this point, look, can I get lodging? Can I just sleep here somewhere?
I think maybe I'm going to switch my insight with persuasion, because clearly we've demonstrated that I'm decent at persuasion, but I'm terrible at insight. Some impromptu character surgery might be happening right now.
Yeah.
All right, so I got a 7.
Okay. Yeah, you just stare at it, and it is quite literally a steel face, although you can see it's not a single sheet of metal, and nor is it like a robot's faceplate. It is hundreds, maybe thousands of individualized gears and, like pillars and switches and pods and knickknacks, right? And it's alive and it's moving. Does that make sense?
I gotcha.
Yeah, it is. It's very transformery in that way, right? That it's constantly ebbing and flowing.
Yeah, teeming magical construct.
Yeah. And he's just sort of looking at you, and he's like,
All good here. No need for assistance.
Well, you were very explicit in your letter to the college, sir, that you did need some assistance. So here I am.
Was taken care of by Dravakus Zahn.
and in the background, right, just the same warbling music.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you, sir. Mr. Zahn is not on the up and up with the university. He's a dangerous man, a fugitive from justice, and a wizard criminal, the worst kind of criminal. He's guilty of many occult crimes, and I suspect you may be a victim of one. So indeed, I'm now more concerned than I was before.
Because, would you like a watch?
Not particularly. How? So I noticed that you're talking very slowly. I presume this is a new phenomena. Are you in some sort of time bubble? Are you undercranked? What's happening?
Let's go ahead and write down undercranked as a thing I need to use in the future.
All fine. Had a little hiccup with some supplies and some gears, but everything's good now, and I appreciate the university's patronage. The yearly retirement watches will be on their way soon.
Well, now, all right. I'm gonna keep poking around is there anything else going on in here? Is there anything? Sorry. I'm gonna excuse me a moment. I need to conduct a brief divinatory ritual. I'm gonna try and cast detect magic as a ritual to try and get a sense of what's going on here. If there's anything magically askance.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll just say, unless you have a compelling reason not to, we'll just bring Wilbur in.
Yeah.
So the episode, the split episode thing would end with him knocking on this door. Hey, do you think can we stay here tonight? We're gonna need some place to sleep. We're doing some investigatory work on...
Wilbur, come on in. Goodness gracious, don't let all the heat out.
Oh, hey, everything's boarded up around here, and nobody wanted to talk. They just shushed me along.
Interesting. That's Zahn at work again. Zahn, will his crimes ever truly be... The scope of his crimes ever truly be understood? All right. Wilbur, keep a weather eye out. We don't quite know what we're facing here yet.
Yeah. And so what's cool about this situation is Chesterfeld is not frustrated with you or worried, right? He just seems to go back to what he's doing. So now that he thinks that you're I'm shopping, right?
Yeah.
He's placated very easily.
I'm clearly doing a ritual in the middle of his floor, and he just doesn't care.
Yeah, not at all. He goes back, he moves a couple things around, and finally he's collected a few watches out of the display cabinet, and he goes into his back room, the tinkerer's shop, right?
Actually, I'm interested in looking at one of those watches. Can you bring me one of those watches that you've been looking at? I might be interested in buying one.
Yeah, he stops and he turns and he looks and he says,
Got 3 kinds here: sterling, silver, brass, and
I want to see how they look with my
gold.
My shirt.
With your shirts, yeah. So you want all 3?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just take a look at those things.
So he will put them down, but he will go get others then. And he's slow at this, but...
Yeah. All right, well, I want to see what's going on, if there's anything, if they put a curse on the watches or something. Zahn trying to get back at the faculty.
Absolutely. So 10 minutes does indeed go by. Let's be very specific here with what Detect Magic actually does for us.
You can use your action to see a faint aura around any visible creature or object in the area that bears magic, and you learn its school of magic, if any.
Nice. Okay. So you can see it on a bunch of different things. So we will go in orders of importance. The vast majority of his raw components room is glowing, specifically all of the little doodly dads that are moving around, right, and seem to have gained some sort of magical sentience and ability of motion. The watches you just grabbed from him are not magic, nor are any of them in the cabinets. It's just the ones that are moving are magic, and a lot of the weirdness of the raw materials in the room.
Right.
Unfortunately, E.E. Chesterfeld, specifically his face, is magic.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, our episode closer will be this kind of this tugging at the back of your tongue, right? You feel compelled. You're like, there's something else. Hold on, I'm getting something. Do you kind of follow that thread?
I follow it.
Yeah. The following of that thread kind of takes you to where you would go behind the counter, but you haven't gone there yet. And you looking into his back room, and you can see the magical phonograph glowing with a powerful, more powerful than anything else, aura of magic. So bright and blue, and we will rack focus onto it. If you want a one-liner, you can have it.
I'm trying to think what a good. All right, pause it. I need to think of a good one-liner.
Yeah, absolutely. It's time to get to work.
Yeah, there we go.
It has nothing to do with the phonograph, but
I think it's just like a record scratch noise.
okay, yeah, that's good too.
Yeah. I am a powerful wizard.